Welcome back to another episode of the KarterKast. I'm your host, Karter Baughan. On today's show, we separate it into two pods. A little different today. We react to the first round of the college football playoff. Make sure that's part one. Part one, you're listening right now. Part one, college football playoff reaction. We don't preview the games. That'll be on Thursday. Part two, NFL reaction and recap and Christmas preview. We preview the Christmas games and Thursday Night Football. All that's on part two. Part one, college football. If you're listening on audio, make sure to tune into both parts. If you're watching on YouTube right now, tune in to the NFL part. That'll be on the YouTube channel. Hit that like and subscribe button. And also download SeatGeek. Use code KarterKast for $20 off your first purchase. Great show for you today. Merry Christmas and happy holidays. We're live. Sunday night, December 22nd. We're recording about 10 p.m. Eastern right now. Halftime of the Bucs-Cowboys game.
I'm waiting for a tweet or a post or something that says the public absolutely murdered this football season because I have probably had the worst gambling football season since I started gambling on football, and that includes 2019 when I didn't take it seriously. Like has this been just the most atrocious, favorites covering everywhere, almost no upset season in college and professional that we've ever lived through?
It does seem that way. There's been a lot of blowouts.
Guys, I'm broke.
Like that.
I don't have any
canceled?
money.
50% off on OnlyFans then, Dylan. Run the promo.
If this was 2022, we'd be having McChickens at my wedding. That's a throwback for all you OG listeners. We'd be having McChickens at the Wilkerson wedding.
Yeah, well,
it's bad, guys. It's bad. And you come on here and you knock me, and all you do listen, new setup. I just kicked over my monitor. All you guys, I'm going to have to mute the KarterKast group chat on Saturdays and Sundays because every time I check, it's never anything positive. Dylan, it's always hook 'em, Texas, Dylan, Ohio State, the Big Ten's the worst conference in college football.
Hook 'em, baby.
All it does is raise my blood pressure. It just makes me. I'm going to have to mute the group chat.
Can I ask you a funny question?
Side note,
it hasn't stopped you before.
My blood pressure raises on Saturdays also, but it's not due to group chats. It's due to the food I consume on Saturdays and Sundays.
Did anybody make money in college football this weekend?
No.
I can tell you.
No.
Hold on.
And I also want
to.
No
way.
I also want to call out Connor real quick while we're doing. This isn't even news and notes. This is Inside KarterKast. You sent the agenda for today, Karter, and Connor says, Karter, you're going to have to lead the show. I barely even kept track of.
That's not. Now he's paraphrasing.
I barely even kept track of. Well, this is paraphrasing, but was it your birthday yesterday?
My birthday was yesterday.
Birthday.
To be honest, I was locked in all day except the second half of Texas Clemson and then the Tennessee Ohio State game. I cannot confirm nor deny how much I watched of that.
So what I'm hearing is for your ideal way to spend your birthday is not watching football.
I watched from the hour of 12 until like 6:30 Eastern, and then I still had it on after that. I just wasn't locked in.
I saw a lot of pictures on Instagram double dating and not watching any football. I'm just going to say, happy birthday, by the way. Happy belated birthday.
Thank you.
Yeah, you're welcome.
When Ohio State started barnstorming Tennessee, I was watching it at the bar. I was like, that's it. Let's go upstairs. I've had enough. I was pissed because I was up. I was winning until that.
The X's. If you're watching on YouTube or Spotify right now, just a lot of red on Dylan's
Would you like to see
right now.
The one bet I hit was when I took over in the okay, let me rephrase that so I don't sound dumb.
Few checks in there.
Screenshot that. The only bet I hit was because I took Minnesota, Seattle over 41.5 and under 44. That's the only bet I hit. It wasn't even an actual play. It was because I tried to middle a total.
That's horrible.
Oh my gosh. And it was in a good spot for a minute too. It was 2024.
44 was in play for a while. Listen, we don't have to do this. Yeah. I'm just saying Connor had his birthday, and the last thing he thought about was watching football.
I literally watched all day until the Tennessee Ohio State.
He went to go bar hop in Knoxville.
But going back to my point though, nobody made money on Saturday.
No, they
didn't. Square, but we didn't do it because we're sharp. Like the squares.
But
probably
the funniest part was, Dylan, I feel like we were on opposite sides of every game, and we
still lost. How is that even possible? How is that even possible?
The Tennessee Ohio State game was the one I felt the most confident about. I was like, under rock fight. Look at these defenses, and it just once Ohio State went up 21-0, I was like, that's it.
So, okay, listen, this is a hodgepodge show. I'm in Tennessee right now. We're not in our normal places, so we're hopping all over the place. I stopped at a Buc-ee's in Richmond, Kentucky on the way down here.
Talk to me.
Sea of orange. Sea of orange. People don't know it. Go Vols. Go Vols. Go Vols. It was just the most beautiful thing to see. And then obviously that outcome happens, and it's like, well, I think we just all of a sudden forget that as long as Ohio State's not playing a Block M, they're the best team in college football.
To be honest,
go ahead. I was going to say, or if Tennessee didn't have the most butt cheeks receivers in college football, maybe they would have had a shot in that
somebody
game.
said that on the preview. I don't know who
they did.
Put out a clip that said that.
Were you watching the game?
I was watching it. I wasn't locked in.
Okay.
I was
All right.
on.
Well, Dylan, I'm not going to make excuses. Ohio State looked great. Are we starting with college football here?
Yeah.
Let's do it.
That was a smooth transition. You ruined it. We could have just boom right in there.
Well, speaking of college football, as the game was going on with Ohio State and Tennessee, what I just thought was the more and more Ohio State put it on Tennessee, the more and more embarrassing the loss to Michigan got. Like the fact that,
of course, you see it that way. No, I'm serious.
I'm serious. The more they were passing the ball and having success in the air, and it's just the fact that never dawned on them to do it against Michigan is just the more and more embarrassing it got. And you can look at the rushing numbers from that game. It wasn't anything impressive. I'd have to go back and look. I'm wasting time here. Blah, blah, blah. Yeah, this isn't going to load.
From the Michigan game?
From what game?
From Ohio State.
Travion Henderson had like 80 rush yards, and then Judkins had 40, right?
It's a few chunk plays, though, for Henderson, wasn't it?
Ohio State negative 0.02 EPA per rush, 45th percentile. Not what we expect from Ohio State. And then you have the Dylan Sampson thing. He was out most of the game, too. So as far as that game goes, we do it different in the Big Ten. And as long as they're not playing Michigan, it doesn't matter. Like Ohio State is going to win the national championship. After watching that game, they're going to beat Oregon. I'm convinced because they don't have to play Michigan. They just don't.
Do you really think that's like a huge holdup for Ryan Day? Because I'm curious, not to go back to the Michigan Ohio State game, but at first I was like, there's no way he actually didn't realize he just needed to throw the ball. But it really does now seem like, I just want a big boy Michigan and run it down their throats, and no matter what, we're going to try to do that. And then you see Will Howard and Jeremiah Smith have that success on Tennessee's defense, and you're like, how simple it is. Why don't you do that?
And you can't help but like watch these games that Ohio State's playing and just know it means nothing. Every game they win, it's another year added for Ryan Day, and it's like, do you really even want to do this if you're a Buckeye fan? It's like you win the national championship, but you lose to it. I'm happy for the fans that think they can find solace in it, but it's meaningless football.
Two things. Talking about this Ohio State-Tennessee game. One, why isn't the discussion how fraudulent Tennessee was?
Dylan Sampson did get hurt.
I understand that. Fair, fine. But
the defense.
The defense got destroyed, and to be honest, I don't think this game was really on Nico. I thought he kind of played his tail off a little bit. He was trying to make plays.
The stats won't show.
The offensive line was pathetic. Ohio State was getting to him at every point. I don't think Nico should be blamed for this whatsoever. Those Tennessee receivers, as a Carolina Panthers fan, it felt like I was watching last season with Bryce Young and the Panthers almost, where it's just Nico's running for his life, no receiver can get separation, and they're just doomed. They were doomed in that spot. My other question is, did we underestimate how important home field advantage is in this spot? Or was it simply the teams that won were just that much better?
I don't know who was underestimating it. I wasn't underestimating it. I knew it would matter, but I also think it's that we had teams in this play. We had teams.
Yeah, but if you didn't underestimate it, then you wouldn't have taken Tennessee with the points and money line.
But that's not. I wouldn't say that's necessarily true. I thought Tennessee would, have enough to overcome that. I mean, it was Neyland North. Did you watch the game? It was checkered out. The shoe was checkered out.
I will say, bouncing off that, you're right, Dylan. It was like 40-50% Tennessee fans, which is crazy. The other 3 games, though, besides Ohio State, Tennessee, I think the quality of teams was just so different. That wasn't even taken into what I thought, where it's like, okay, yeah, Penn State and Texas and Notre Dame have home field advantage, but the teams they're playing, I don't think it's going to matter, even if it was a neutral field or a home field. This Ohio State-Tennessee game was the one where I thought, okay, this might actually matter. And then I look at the stadium and it's 50% orange. So I don't know if it's like we underestimated it or if the disparity in talent is just that great for these first round games, at least this year.
To be honest,
we can talk about that going forward.
Yeah, but to be honest, I think it was just the talent difference in these teams.
Right.
There's a reason these were 7, 10-point spreads, 14-point spreads. Like on a neutral field, do you really think Texas is less than a double-digit underdog against Clemson? No, they're still a double-digit favorite. Sorry, I said I've got that backwards, but that and
nice
so
catch.
Yeah, you saw that, caught that mic real quick.
Better than Tennessee's receivers.
Better than Tennessee's receivers, I'll tell you that. But going on to this overall playoff discussion where everybody on social media immediately, we were going to get this knee-jerk overreaction no matter what, where it's 12-team playoff sucks, should have done 8, should have done 6, should have kept 4, blah, blah, blah. Will college football fans ever be happy with a playoff? Because the thing is, blowouts happen. This is just do you just want every game to be close? Like, this isn't realistic, because you know what would have happened is if 2 of these games were overtime thrillers and they were awesome, went down to the wire, we would have said, oh my gosh, everybody that wanted a 4-team or a 6-team playoff are idiots. No, we just had blowouts in the first round. That's what happened. Is this going to happen every single year? No, we're going to have close games, and people are saying, oh, Cinderellas don't happen in college football. Cinderellas are meaningless in college football. Bull effing crap, man. That's bull crap. TCU made the national title game, beat your Michigan Wolverines, Dylan. Washington
I was
last
getting married
year,
that day.
Washington was a Cinderella run last season. They win.
What, Washington?
How is Washington not a Cinderella run?
Who was more deserving to be in that place than Washington? Alabama? Florida
That's
State?
what I'm saying.
Like preseason, nobody would have ever guessed Washington would have been
That's
there.
what I'm saying. Yes.
If you didn't know ball, you would have thought that.
I mean, let's be honest. If you saw the Michael Penix at Indiana to Michael Penix at Washington are not the same person.
You weren't watching him at Indiana then.
I was watching him at Indiana.
You weren't watching him at Indiana if you're saying that.
I was watching him at Indiana.
Just saying. The problem that I'm going to have with this is, I think you're exactly right. Blowouts happen, but you subject yourself to the backlash when you put in teams that they're not the best teams. Like
But that's too subjective.
Of course, right? But if you put in Alabama over SMU, you're not going to have as many people screaming and crying about a blowout, because we all know that SMU is not as good as Alabama.
So if Alabama goes out and Jalen Milroe throws 3 picks and they get stomped by 30, remember they only scored 3 on Oklahoma, so very possible. Then what's the conversation?
Well, they scored like 40-some on LSU at LSU as well.
So if Alabama gets blown out, then what's the conversation?
Yeah, but that's stupid, because we do this song and dance, but that's like saying in the NFL right now, saying, oh, you know what, the Tampa Bay Buccaneers shouldn't get into the playoffs because they play in the NFC South. Let's go ahead and put Seattle in over them.
Here's the difference. The criteria for making the NFL playoffs is set in stone. You have the best records, you win your division, there is no subjectivity.
That'll never happen in college.
Exactly, right? I don't disagree with you there, but you cannot compare the NFL and college football. When the NFL, it's very clear all you have to do is win games. The Steelers in 2021 or whatever it was probably wasn't one of the top 14 teams in the NFL, but they got in because they met the criteria.
I understand that. I totally get that. Why shouldn't that be the case in college? We need it to be not subjective then.
Oh, I would love it.
But there's no good way.
I'm on board.
The only way we'll ever get that is when in 3 years they're like, all right, 10 SEC teams, 2 at-large bids, and let's have a playoff, because that's the direction people want it to go in.
I think the only way to really do it is when you break it up into even smaller conferences, and you go back to an 8-team ACC, you go back to an 8-team SEC, and the winner of that gets in, because I feel like that's the only actually logical way to do it, and you keep the geographical rivalries.
So it's very seldom I go to bat for Brandon Walker, but he does have a great point that you have the case like Indiana this year, where the conference is so big, you can luck out to getting a very easy in-conference schedule, go 11-1 or whatever, and still make the playoff. So part of the issue is
20-team super conferences. People want the 20-team conferences, so this is what you get.
No. I don't. People's
well, I don't either, but people in power do.
Yeah, I'd agree with
TV
that.
executives do. But the problem is, I think that's going to come back to bite them in the end.
Yeah,
I think so
sure.
too.
Yeah.
And
so that's a different discussion, though.
This stat came across my desk. Prior to this year, there have been 30 college football playoff games played. 16 of them decided by 3 scores or more. So you're talking about blowouts. Sure, it sucks that the first year of the 12-team playoff, the first 4 first-round games were blowouts and not that much fun to watch. That sucks, but let's not act like we don't see this all the time. We see blowouts in college football all the time.
Can I offer a change in perspective?
Of course.
Not all 3-score wins look the same. And not all, like the Indiana game was not 27-17 on the converse. Like,
I
you know
agree.
what I'm saying?
But I feel like that evens out, though. I feel like if you really went back and looked at each individual game, that probably evens out. To where it's like, oh, this one didn't look good on the scoreboard, and this one, we can do that all day.
The problem is these small teams have had an awful precedent set for them with Cincinnati, Notre Dame, Oklahoma in the 4-team playoff, and then this happens again, and it's just what people remember.
It's the like, first year.
It's the first year of this, right? It's the first year of this, but we have seen Oklahoma get boat raced in the first round. We've seen Notre Dame get boat raced in the first round. We've seen Cincinnati, Alabama blew them out of the water.
Okay, but we've also seen Washington and TCU win in the playoff.
And this conversation is going to dramatically change if somehow Boise State makes a run this year, and then everybody's going to be like, "Oh, look at this! This is what we want."
And then we see TCU get, and arguably the worst, and I bet on TCU, arguably the worst national championship ever. So it's like you can say that you could say they win 1 game, but they don't win 2. What makes you think they're going to win 4?
But why does it matter? We have blowouts in title games. Like last year in the NBA last year, the Mavericks make this miracle run to the NBA Finals. They get absolutely boat raced. But guess what? They deserve to be there. So all of a sudden, we shouldn't let teams like the Mavericks get into that point. Like why are we punishing teams for getting blown out in title games?
Because they don't deserve to be like the argument we're having.
I disagree.
The argument that we're having right now is we have these teams getting blown out in the first round. We have these teams getting blown out when they play teams that are clearly 10 times better than they are. That's why we're having this conversation. That's why we're talking about TCU. That's why we're talking about SMU.
The rebuttal to that is I do think they deserve to be there because if you do go 11-1 like these teams did, SMU, Penn State, whatever, Notre Dame, you deserve to have your fate decided on the field. It's like you can play, and if you get blown out and you get exposed, that's on you. They deserve the right. They deserve the right to play it and not have it decided in a meeting room in the committee with the committee in there.
Under this current system, they deserve to be in. They are not.
But you won't ever get me to feel bad for. Go ahead.
People can complain about lackluster games under this system if the teams that aren't the best teams get in because they're the most deserving. Is SMU and Indiana the most deserving teams under this format? Yeah, I'm not going to argue with you. They're not grouped in with the 12 best teams in college football.
Okay,
but real quick, my quick rant to that is, yes, I see what you're saying, but I will never, ever, ever feel sorry for a 3-loss team like Alabama or Ole Miss or South Carolina because you had your chances. In the past, it's like you lose 1 game early and the rest of your season is meaningless or you have to be perfect the rest of the year. Now you get 2, sometimes even 3 chances to screw up and you still have a chance to get in. I'm not going to feel bad for you if you have 3 losses and don't get in. You had your chances.
I don't feel bad for Lane Kiffin.
Just because they're better.
Yeah, I was about to say, wait, hey, Lane Kiffin, where are you at, buddy? You can't go 0 dark 30 like that.
Yeah, I'm at
It's past his bedtime.
No.
He's going to sleep.
You can't do that.
I don't feel bad for them, but they are better teams. And if you have people complaining about the
but that's not written in stone. Like
no, I would say if you go ask an odds maker who the better team is, they're going to say that's
the
objective.
root of the argument is then now it just boils down to if we're going to do that, then these teams in the ACC and the Big 12, it's like what are you even playing for?
Okay,
because you're going to get boned for two more losses of an SEC team.
Here's what you do if you're an ACC or a Big 12 team: schedule Alabama, schedule Ole Miss.
But
put this to rest for once and for all.
Or just Alabama come join the ACC. You'll win it every year. You'll be
Notre
in the playoff.
Dame.
Come on,
let's just make one super conference. Get Notre Dame in there.
my problem with everyone complaining about the 12-team playoff is, look, they definitely should not go beyond 12. Definitely should not go beyond 12.
So yeah.
But
that's a good argument. If you want to argue that 12 teams every year don't deserve to play for a national championship, I'll listen to that, because there's not going to be 12 deserving teams every single year. But while this format's in place, I am going to argue that.
As a football fan, I'll be honest, I don't care if there's 12 teams that are deserving or not. I'm okay with this many games.
It works itself out.
That's what I was getting. That's the point I was going to get to, was with the 12-team playoff and everything. I don't care that there's blowouts this weekend, because guess what? Next year, an underdog's probably going to win. An SMU or one of these teams might win a game. But otherwise, okay, if there's blowouts, oh well, that's fine. We're just, one, we're getting more football, but two, also, it's all going to settle out and the best team's going to win. It's not March Madness where it's a total crapshoot, and you got to win 6 games in weird gyms on neutral sites with different basketballs and whatnot.
1 day rest, yeah.
1 day rest. You get plenty of rest in these games. You get plenty of time to prep. And guess what? The best team is going to come out of this thing and win the national title. So it doesn't matter. The best 4 teams are going to be in the semifinals. It doesn't matter. It's going to be fine.
Yes. It's likely.
Then
it
when
is
you're
likely. No, it is likely that the best 4 teams are going to be
okay.
You
and
can't
then
guarantee
that. But if not, then that's your fault. You weren't better than Boise State that game. You weren't better than Notre Dame that day.
You could still be better than a team in a game and lose.
I don't care if that's the point. Then let's play the games.
Sports.
That's the point of playing sports.
But Carter's sitting here saying the best 4 teams are going to be in the semis,
because they won
the
those
better
games.
team. The better team that game. We see teams play better than the other team and lose.
The most deserving. Is that the word you like?
Yeah, that's fair. That's more
you
fair
play your
than
way
better.
There. But my whole thing with this thing, guys, to kind of put a bow on this, is I feel like if we talk about, this 3-loss team should be in, doesn't that lead to the regular season games mattering less, which is what people want to avoid? Aren't we at that point where it's like, okay, you can lose 3 games, and then all of a sudden, well, it doesn't matter if you lose 3 games, because you're still going to get into the playoffs. So the regular season games don't matter as much. Isn't that what we're trying to get away from?
So I want to add a different perspective from this, because I was actually thinking about this when I was watching the game Saturday. Yeah, Connor, they were football games Saturday.
Good one. I couldn't tell if were you watching from the hot tub in your resort you're staying in Tennessee, or
I was watching from the hot tub. Yeah, I had it on the hot tub, but with the mountains in the background.
When were you at Buc-ee's?
Yeah. Wait, did Dylan send a text? He was driving during one of those games too? Did I see that correctly?
2 o'clock on
the whole way.
2 o'clock on Saturday.
I thought watching football in the car was forbidden. Isn't that what we told Carter?
Oh,
when you have single games.
Oh, I got slammed. Well, if you're catching all the games, it doesn't matter. It's called multi-view. YouTube TV.
Yeah, you're sitting in the passenger seat, squinting at a quarter of your phone screen, watching a game.
It's called having an iPad and a laptop.
Oh yeah, you're using all that cellular data, huh?
Yeah, I have a hotspot. I have unlimited hotspot.
That's bad for the environment. I knew that was. Yeah, that makes sense.
Dylan, Green Deal Dylan. That's what they call him.
I'm a big
Green Deal Dylan,
electric car guy.
Big RFK guy.
We were talking about what were we talking about? Devaluing regular season games.
That's what we're trying to avoid, right?
We are trying to avoid it, but I'm going to ask a question, then I'm going to make a comment.
Okay.
Was there any point this year that you truly felt when a team lost a game that the regular season games were devalued? Because,
Michigan, Ohio State.
I was about to say.
But
yes,
but it didn't, because that ultimately determined if Ohio State had the opportunity to play for a bye.
But Ohio State's in the exact same spot now.
So
it really didn't matter. So if they win the
Yeah.
Big Ten title game, they probably would have been the number one overall seed. Oregon,
If Texas wins, okay, we're getting down the weeds here. What I want
Ohio
to say
State
is
better wins.
there is ultimately a point where you're in week 4 or whatever, and it's still like, okay, you can't lose this game because we played Georgia in week 8, and we definitely we need to be able to lose that game. But that game's still going to matter because you're probably playing for an SEC championship or a bye or something like that. So I hear what you're saying. We don't want to devalue the regular season. But I really thought about it Saturday, and I was like, I don't really know if there was a time this year where I was like, okay, this game doesn't matter.
And also, guys, it didn't feel like, I mean, obviously, every year in college football, you're going to have this, but it didn't feel like guys were really checked out either, though. It felt like every game mattered. Everybody tried every single game. There wasn't games where especially in these big rivalry games, whether it mattered or not, people still went all out. I mean, it's football still. It's not the NBA, Connor.
And,
Gosh.
Yeah, I know. And the positive to take away from having 12 teams in, deserving or not, we can argue who's in. It leads to more discussion, more discourse, more content. For us, at this time last year, we were talking about bowl predictions for the Gasparilla Bowl and the Alamo Bowl. And now we get to talk about I kind of do too. But now we get to talk about a 12-team playoff. So that is a positive to bring from it. And I do think that I made this rant whenever this format was announced. I was like, you know what? The G5 team that gets in, they're probably going to get blown out 8 out of 10 times. But the 1 or 2 years where there's a Cinderella run and a team like Boise makes the national championship, it makes it worth it. I think that makes it worth it.
And the other thing is, I don't think the devaluing the regular season is anywhere near the biggest problem in college football. I think the number one problem, or the 12-team playoff being too big and deserving teams and whatnot, the number one problem in college football right now is the transfer portal window. That is atrocious.
Yeah.
The fact that Penn State's backup quarterback isn't going to be on this playoff run when he's played in every single game this season, and if Drew Aller goes down, he's a viable backup option. Like, we've seen that in multiple playoffs where the backup quarterbacks had to come in and win the national title for them. And with the portal now, you're having to recruit your own team during the freaking playoff. Like, this can't go on. This has to end immediately. And even like week 9, 10, 11, 12, if you're a team that's not in playoff contention, it's all damage control at that point. You're just having to recruit your own guys. You're already tampering with other guys from other teams and whatnot. It's a disaster.
I don't know how this wasn't fixed. How did nobody think of this where it's like, all right, the transfer window opens before the college football playoff starts? Because you can't blame the quarterback from Penn State because it's like, all right, if he does decide to stick with the team and then transfer out after, his spot on wherever he's going might already be gone. He might make less money. He made the right choice. It's a system problem.
But the issue is it's going to happen regardless, whether there's a rule or not. How do you stop it?
I think it's also a school thing. Like, you can't wait too long because the semester, like, by the time the college football championship is over, a new semester
I don't think
started.
Alabama admissions is an issue.
I would say
you're right, Dylan.
probably.
You're right, Dylan. You're right, Dylan. But
yeah.
Yeah,
I see that is true. So when do we get to the point where we don't have to get into this, but all of a sudden we're going to have college football East and college football West? No more NCAA, no more class, anything. Football is going to be a separate thing. It's like, you want to go to college? Sure. You're just going to wear these colors, though.
It's like
I think it happens within the next 5 years.
You're not going to be associated with a school. Like, okay, we'll wear North Carolina, we'll wear Ohio State colors, but you don't go to class. Like, when is that going to become a thing?
Right now.
It's already free. It's already free agency. The transfer portal is already free agency.
Those cats haven't been going to class for years.
There we go. Puts on a Duke crew neck. That's all that. Yeah.
That's Bill, baby. He's going to set him straight.
You think
they're going to class now?
I would love. We need to get I wish we got like an inside, like a Dion documentary, but with Bill Belichick, like truly unfiltered. Because like if a quarterback, or if like a recruit came in, or a player on Carolina came in, it's like, Coach, I'm failing history or whatever. He's like, what do you want me to do? Or
somebody's like, Coach, I got to be late to practice. I have a tutoring session for my math class. It's really hard. And he's like, what in the F are you talking about?
What are you talking about? What?
We're on to Wake
calculus?
We're on to Wake Forest. But
anything specific from the games you want to get into, or what?
Not really, man. The games kind of sucked.
I will plant my flag. Nico will be my Heisman pick for next year.
Oh, you like flag planting?
I love what I saw from him. Wow. I mean, he was getting it done with his legs a lot more. I think this is a precursor of things to come. Hopefully, they get him some offensive line and wide receiver help. He is going to be my pick for Heisman next year.
I'm very high on Tennessee going into next season too, and also he's had the bumps and bruises and has played in the playoffs already and whatnot. I really, really like, if you watch the game, really don't think he played bad at all. I was really impressed by the kid, to be honest. But we already talked about that, so we don't have to dive into that much more. Clemson, Texas. I thought that was a fun game. I really did. I had fun watching that game. It got a little dicey at the end a little bit, maybe because I was so starved for a potential good game, and that had the inklings of like, it's a little shaky here down in Austin. But Texas, I thought, looked fantastic.
Just so we're clear, Indiana's season was a success, right?
Yes.
Yeah. Okay.
Yes.
All right. Just want to make sure.
Resounding success.
Every team that's in this playoff right now, besides
Clemson?
maybe Ohio State at this point,
it's
has had a
Clemson.
successful season.
Not just kidding.
Yeah.
Clemson,
No, I
this
think
is
you're
a
right.
massive success, man.
I think
Holy
you're right,
crap.
yeah.
The fact they didn't go in the portal at all and still made the playoff, and they weren't out of that game in the second half.
Have you seen those wide receivers though, Carter? You're seriously going to talk
Yeah,
about
how
wide
good are they?
receivers?
Antonio
And
Williams
to
is not
clarify
bad.
that, there's no wide receiver one that you're used to with a good Clemson team going in the first round. That was the point.
No.
They suck it. And then what? Clemson has 75 rushing yards. Guess who said that would happen too? How many Texas have? 500,
Dude,
300.
Every sicko ACC fan realized how overrated Phil Maffa was.
Well, he's hurt, but yes, you're right.
But yeah, I
Either
understand
way.
that. But like in these big games, the power back moves, the power backs are great against App State. Power backs are not that great against a team like Texas, who are equally as big as him and can stop them. You need speed to beat those teams. But
How do you think Quinn Ewers played?
I was okay. I was fine. I thought he played all right. You know, he missed some throws. There were some things I wish he did. I wish I would have gotten to see a little more Arch Manning, even though he fumbled that snap at the end. But that was the center's fault.
Wild. Oh,
But I thought Arch was fine. I was actually really impressed. I'm very high on this Texas team. I picked them to win the national championship in my college football playoff bracket. Oh, and I'm getting chirped left and right. I'm getting DMs. I'm getting texts. I'm getting chirped by you guys. Everybody in the comments, chalk, rock, chalk, Jayhawk, Karter. I thought you were a Kansas fan. Oh, who has a perfect bracket so far?
Yep.
do you take pride in that if it's all favorites though?
Yeah,
No,
because the rest
I
of
don't
it's
think
going to
you
be
can.
perfect. The rest of it's going to be perfect.
Yeah,
Then
okay.
you can take pride. Yeah, then you can take pride. Sure.
Yeah,
You get a
that's
perfect
perfect. I'm
bracket,
not gonna,
sure.
yeah.
This
Yeah,
is
I'm
the
gonna have a
one
perfect
question
bracket.
What?
Well, Carter, weren't you the one before this started saying, "Oh, well, if they get a perfect bracket, it doesn't mean that much because it's not the
No, it
college
doesn't.
basketball bracket."
Well,
You got to
you're-
stop with these voices, Dylan. This is getting out of control.
That's what you sounded like.
That's what
I'm in Tennessee, baby. I'm on vacation. You're getting a different kind of Dylan.
Wow.
Oh, we're live. College football week 17.
Quinn Ewers, this guy. Quinn Ewers, he loves me.
Did you see he rolled up with the Trump tie clip?
No, I didn't.
Yeah, he had Trump tie clip.
Oh my God. Hey, do you know Quinn Ewers and Cade Klubnik had a connection from before college? I had no clue.
Did
Oh,
you know
brother.
they played in Texas high school football?
No way.
I don't know if you heard this on the broadcast or not. This is a hometown game for Cade Klubnik.
God, he probably has all the friends and family there.
Homecoming. Special
Yeah.
week.
Wow.
Here's an on the spot question for both you guys. 8 teams played 4 games this weekend. Who had the best quarterback performance? Which quarterback you feel the best about from this first round?
Will Howard.
Will Howard.
I think so too. Golly.
And I'll tell you what, the player I feel best about, Jeremiah Smith.
Yeah, okay.
Are you watching these games, Dylan?
That says so much more about Will Howard than Jeremiah Smith. So much more. Yeah, how do you drop those passes? I could go out there and make those catches. Are you
He was
serious?
putting- he
He
was
put
dropping
those
buckets.
right where they needed to be. And I hope he enjoyed it because it's not happening against Oregon.
Oh, my goodness. You already said you're taking Ohio State over Oregon.
I already bet Oregon, but Ohio State wins the national championship. And I want them to. They deserve it. They've had a rough season.
Oh, my goodness. And you look at the spreads going into the quarterfinals, and we'll preview that on our next episode. We don't have to get into that. Couple big spreads, like we expected, though. I mean, it's not a shocker or anything.
We talk fairy tale. We talk fairy tale. Arizona State. That's the chance we have. I think that's.
No, it's
I
Boise
I
think-
State.
picked them.
No, it's not going to be Boise.
Boise
Arizona
State.
State would be awesome. They're the ones.
I
They
picked
were
them.
coming in here with all the hype. Dillingham, a guy's guy coaching. I think it's Arizona State.
I will tell you what, though.
Spoiler.
I am the only thing that has me worried about this Texas team is start getting too cute. We saw it in the Clemson game. He loves getting too cute. Just kick the field goal, man. Like, don't run these stupid, motion plays on fourth down. Like, no, just run it down their throats. You're better than them. You're more athletic than them. Don't get too cute with it. And Texas, he can't help himself. He can't
No,
help
he can't.
himself. It's insane. And that's what's going to be Texas's downfall. Is it's going to be 4th and 3 in a big game against like Ohio State in the semifinals, and he's going to run some stupid end-around jet sweep when he could have just ran it. And when he's had success doing one thing all game and strays away from that because he overthinks it every single time.
Personal guarantee.
On
Texas and Ohio State will not play in the semifinals.
all right, we'll clip that, and then
Yeah, clip
it's
it.
going to be like
I'm with you. Look, I picked
Personal
Arizona
guarantee.
State.
personal guarantee. Oh, I noticed the glasses came off for that part.
They hurt my. They started to hurt my ear with the over-ear headphones on.
Hurt the TikTok comments.
Anything else from the college football playoffs before we transition to basically another episode in the NFL?
Yeah, last thing. We haven't touched on SMU Penn State that much. I wonder how different that game would have been if the first two scores of the game weren't pick sixes. I'm just curious. Penn State looked really good, but, you know.
Can I ask a question?
Yeah.
Is Penn State pick six merchants in big games? Are they pick six merchants? Because that's the only touchdown they had against Ohio State. Yeah, they might be pick six merchants.
It's just not going to matter against Boise. I hate to say it.
Well, they can't throw the ball.
I was going to say they can't pick six if Maddox doesn't throw.
How many carries does Ashton Jithy get? 40?
35.
It's got to be. It's got to be.
It's got to be 30 plus.
35 and then like 10 targets.
The problem is if they go down early in that game, I just hope they don't go down early in that game. If Boise gets an early lead, we'll talk about that. We'll preview that on our next episode.
I'm on vacation, boys. I'm up against it.
All right. Well,
I got a hot tub calling my name.
That's it for college?
That's all I have.
Scale 1 to 10. How does enjoy the first round?
2. 1.5.
Yeah, I say like a 3 or a 4 maybe, and that's being generous.
I was going to
go like 7. We didn't get one good game.
Yeah, we didn't get one close.
But still, the Friday night when I was working, I was clamoring at the bit for meaningful college football, even if the game wasn't that great, and if I lost all my money.
Is every year a 7 then?
No. Like when Michigan was playing in it, that was obviously a 10.
Yeah, you're great. But, you might have the same integrity as the boom meter.
What are you talking about? Now,
I think everything's a boom in your eyes.
It's college football, baby. What are you talking about? You didn't enjoy this? Okay. Okay. I'll remember come July.
You got to grade it correctly. This was a 2 out of 10 playoff, if that first round.
The games weren't great, but I was excited.
Were on. That's all you can say.
I will say we had to suffer through the first round, but next year, if we even get one good first round game, it's going to be so much better. It's going to make it so much more enjoyable. Right, exactly. Because we remember this year.
If you can't love me at my 2024 college football playoff first round, then you don't deserve me at my potentially 2025 college football first round.
You don't deserve me when Bill Belichick's in the semifinal. There we go. Come on.
I love it. All right, we're going to end this part of the podcast, or it's going to be a part episode. We're going to transition talking about the NFL. We'll see you all over there. Bye-bye.